to this place near where I used to live, which is Hendon, and it's on a plane runway, Hendon Aerodrome. And they brought the donkey along, put a drum on it, had me dressed up. Well, actually, I was in my stage clothes and borrowed Mick's hat in one of them. I don't know if they used all that. And David was up a ladder shooting down and then on the floor shooting up there. That's about it.
Hey everybody, how's it going? So we have come to the end of the road with this particular deep dive series, my Rolling Stones London album deep dive series. It has been one hell of a ride, but all good things must come to an end. And I've had a lot of comments, people wanting me to keep this series going because they want to hear my deep dive on Sticky Fingers or Exile on Main Street or Goat's Head Soup. But I think what I will probably do is I need to take a break just because this series has taken a lot of time and energy. I'm going to put a pause and I'm going to resume maybe in the new year. Also, I don't want to alienate any of my viewers who are not Rolling Stones fans, who've had to, sort through all these Rolling Stones videos popping up on their feed. So I appreciate everybody who's been watching, who's been commenting. I've loved reading your comments. You've been incredibly kind, incredibly generous in your praise and your feedback. And I love hearing all your stories about if you were around when these albums came out and how you discovered some of these records and what your favorite albums are. All that comment material I love reading. So I definitely appreciate it. But this is the first Rolling Stones album that was released during my lifetime. It was released a couple months after I was born, and we're talking about Get Your Ya-Ya's Out. Now, I've wondered for the longest time, what do you mean get your ya-ya's out? What are my ya-ya's? I don't even know what my ya-ya's are. How can I get my ya-ya's out when I don't even know what they are? So I did a little research, and apparently Get Your Ya-Ya's Out was taken from a Blind Boy Fuller lyric where he says, if you don't get out my house, I'm going to throw your ya-ya's out the door. So that's pretty much what it means, like get your ass out. Ya-ya's apparently is a folk vernacular for your posterior, your behind. So if you're ever wondering what that phrase meant, it means get your ass out. I don't no idea what that means as it pertains to a concert or a live album. Seemingly, you would not want to tell your audience to get out if you're in the middle of performing. So I don't know. I'm no closer to understanding this title than I guess I was before. So this was released on September 4th, 1970, and it's the greatest live album of all time. Not just the 60s. This was recorded in 1969. Yes, it is the greatest album of all time. And if you want to sit there and argue with me...
my trousers so they don't fall down. You don't want my trousers to fall down, I do.
No, I don't, Mick. I'm trying to film a video.
You don't want my trousers to fall down, I do.
I don't. Sorry about that. So many of these videos end up getting interrupted through no fault of my own. So I apologize. All right. Anyway, so released September 4th, 1970. Greatest live album of all time. And that's the thing about this album is there were no overdubbing. That started to come into vogue in the 70s. Kiss Alive, where artists started, after they recorded the tapes, they'd take them back into the studio and they'd overdub. Oh, I want to do a better guitar solo, or my vocal was not the best. I want to re-record that. So you could never really trust into the 70s whether or not it was authentically live or not. This is authentically live. And the great part about it is it's sloppy. Like, it's such an imperfect performance. It's not technically, the best that the Rolling Stones have ever performed, although they were, I think, at their peak in terms of live performances on this album. But that's what makes it great, because they don't give a shit. They're going to play, you know, if they play a wrong note, or if the tempo's off, or just everything about this just sounds almost, I want to say, like a rehearsal, because it's a fantastic live album. But if you heard the album, you know what I mean. I mean, it's so powerful. And I love that they take a lot of these songs at a different tempo with a different arrangement than what you heard on the record. But there's no cleaning up of the songs on here. There's no, you know, Keith Richards was not interested in having every single solo or every single note perfect. And I think it's that raggedness. It's that the feeling that things are just going to fall apart at any minute, and, you know, the song's going to go off the rails. I think that's what's very exciting about an album like this. The Rolling Stones were touring for the first time in like 2 years, I think it was, at this point. These shows were recorded on November 27th and November 28th at Madison Square Garden. And then there was one show, there was a Baltimore show, also from November. Love in Vain was the Baltimore show. The rest were taken from, there were 3 shows at Madison Square Garden over the 27th and 28th of November in 1969. I hope I didn't say 1970 before, because this was released in 70, but the concert itself, the concerts that this material was taken from, were actually from 19...
I think I busted a button on my trousers so they don't fall down. You don't want my trousers to fall down,
no,
do you?
I don't, Mick. And if you could stop interrupting, trousers. Anyway, see, and then I lose my train of thought. I have no idea what I was talking about because I get so agitated. So anyway, I like the fact that the arrangements were different than what we got on the album. So what was on this incredible... Well, first of all, let's talk about the album cover, okay? Because again, the title in itself made absolutely no sense. And then you've got Charlie Watts with a donkey on some piece of road, some section of road. Like, what is going on with this? Like, it made no sense at all to me. And so if you've seen the Gimme Shelter documentary, there is footage of Charlie and the donkey on the M6 motorway. I think Mick Jagger's there too. And they're filming, they're doing like a photo session with the donkey. So the footage that you see in the Gimme Shelter documentary did not produce this cover, because if you notice, Charlie Watts is not wearing this outfit. This was taken in February of 1970. I don't know what happened with that photo session. Maybe they couldn't get a usable shot. Maybe the donkey took a crap. I have no idea what happened. So far, nobody's telling. But this shot was actually taken it was taken in London, not in Birmingham, where the M6 motorway was. So they relocated everything. And what's this got to do with the donkey? Well, apparently this was a lyric in Bob Dylan's Visions of Johanna song. And the line is, "Jewels and binoculars hang from the head of a mule." Well, this isn't a mule, it's a donkey, but still, that's what inspired the lyric. But, you know, there's nobody better than Charlie Watts to pull this off. Charlie Watts seemed to be the most affable of all the Stones. So you can't go wrong with Charlie Watts jumping for joy with a donkey by his side, even though it makes no goddamn sense. But anyway, still a cool cover. All right, so what do we have on here? Well, starts off with a lot of, here are the Rolling Stones, the kind of the MC introduction, then right into Jumpin' Jack Flash, which slightly different arrangements, taken at I don't know, it's taken at a slower tempo, I guess, sort of a more casual type of a tempo as the Rolling Stones were wont to do back then. But I love the song, and I love this arrangement. Not sure I prefer this version to the studio version, but next track they do is Carol, which was on their first album, so it's nice to see them return to that debut album. And anytime they do Chuck Berry, for them, I mean, they're really playing one of their idols. They're paying homage to one of their idols, Chuck Berry, by covering that song. Then you got Stray Cat Blues, which is really slowed down. It's such a different arrangement and a different tempo. And again, it's just kind of taken very casually. It doesn't have the urgency, the grittiness necessarily of the Beggar's Banquet version, but I love it because it's a different interpretation of the song, and I think it's fantastic. Then you got Love in Vain, again, which is sort of slowed down from the album version. It's electric, obviously, where the album version was acoustic, but I think it works great. And then the highlight for side one is Midnight Rambler, which is taken at a quicker pace. There's definitely more urgency here. It's more alive. It's more electric. It doesn't kind of have that sleepy quality of the Let It Bleed version. And this version is definitely better than the version on Let It Bleed. Not that the version on Let It Bleed is anything to sneeze at, but this is
You bust the button on the trousers so they don't fall down. You don't want my trousers to fall down, now do you?
I don't. Okay. Where are we? Side one, Sympathy for the Devil. Again, an entirely different arrangement, different time signature. And it's kind of chilling to hear this because, you know, when all the bad crap starts going down in the Gimme Shelter movie at Altamont, this is the exact arrangement that they're playing. So to hear it this way, I love this arrangement, but I wish, you know, it didn't conjure memories of Hell's Angels, you know, beating the hell out of tripped out hippies. I just wish I didn't have that. I didn't make that association for me, but it does. But I still think it's a very cool, heavier arrangement to be sure. And then you got Live With Me. Live With Me on here is better than the Let It Bleed version. It just is. It has such a, it's more exciting on this album. And it's a lot heavier. It's a lot more, it's got a lot more punch, I guess you could say, on here. And it just works better as a live song. Then we've got Little Queenie, which is another Chuck Berry cover that the Rolling Stones had never committed to one of their studio albums before. So it's very cool to hear that. Again, the Rolling Stones can never do a bad cover of a Chuck Berry song. Then you got Honky Tonk Women. Again, kind of that sloppiness. Sort of feels like it's all going to fall apart. Is the song going to break down or are they going to have to restart it? But I love that. The unpredictability of these performances is what I genuinely love. And then you got fantastic version of Street Fighting Man. And what a way to close out the album. One of my favorite 60s Rolling Stone songs. And this is just, it's perfection. It really is. And this is why, one of the reasons why this is the greatest live album of all time. Now, I know, whatever. To me, don't already start typing in the comment section. No, it's not. Iron Maiden's Live After Death. Kiss Alive. Frampton Comes Alive. Whatever. For me, I'll take this any day of the week, and I'll put it up against any of your live albums any day of the week. And, you know, whatever. It's a 60s artifact, but I'm telling you, the Rolling Stones never sounded better live. And they've yet to come out with a live album since that has impressed me or that I will connect with the way that I do with this. It's just not. So, anyway, so this is my London pressing of this record. And I've got 2 cassettes. How about that? This is an original cassette release. Look at that. And that's what the cassette itself looks like. Nothing on the inlay card, unfortunately. Nothing even on the back of these. Like normally where you have the track listing, there ain't nothing on there. And then I've got the Abco. This is the 80s reissue of the cassette. Actually has some credits and something on the back of that J card right there. So yeah, very cool. And then I've got 2 CD versions. I've got the original CD release with the back looking like they always do, and then this SACD version, which replicates the back cover photograph. You open it up, it's got a custom CD label, and then they just reproduce the photos from the back cover, and then you open it up and it's got credits and all the rest. So anyway, that is my deep dive into Get Your Ya-Ya's Out. Thank you again, everybody who's been watching this series. I'm kind of sad to see it come to a close for the moment. But again, I will try in the new year to resume. We'll head into the 70s, do a deep dive from the Sticky Fingers album all the way through the Emotional Rescue album. So yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to do after this. I'm going to take a long break, I think. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and take care.